Good morning, Chief Incontro. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Good morning, Amber. Thank you very much.
Now, Chief, I understand that you're sort of the chief cop on the county task force that provides guidance to citizens, businesses, schools, and other public agencies regarding the COVID-19 crisis. First, tell us about your role working with that task force.
Well, I'm the president of the Los Angeles County Police Chiefs Association. So I represent the 44 independent cities, along with the Sheriff's Department and LAPD, but only as our association. And because of that role, we've become part of different meetings, public health, and other groups within the county that affect all of the cities and the chiefs when we're trying to enforce or support the public health order of staying safer at home. It's been a challenge. It's been very interesting, and but we're trying to do everything to keep people safe and healthy.
And we really appreciate your work doing that, Chief. So we've heard that some schools and districts in areas like the Inland Empire have engaged in physical celebrations for graduates. What impact has that had on LA County's previous decisions to limit or prohibit any type of physical celebrations?
Well, it has had an impact, and I think the biggest impact is, well, if they're doing it, why can't we? It's important to note that the state sets a limit. Individual counties or cities with a public health officer can maintain stricter requirements. So while we may see San Bernardino doing certain things or other counties throughout California and allowing different activities, in Los Angeles County, based upon the need of our communities to be safe, they have more stricter controls. But some new things have been happening, and that we believe that we'll be able to have a parade, and I think some of the beaches will be open, and some shopping at malls, curbside shopping at malls.
And so you mentioned that there may be this opportunity for some sort of celebrations. And as of this morning, it appears that parameters for those celebrations have in fact changed. Is that true that drive-through processionals for graduations and promotions are now being allowed?
Yes, they have, which is very exciting, and I'm very happy for our community. However, there's some pretty strict rules. People have to stay inside their cars. They have to be family members only. There's no social gathering prior to or after or during with any other groups. Face coverings have to be worn. Only one document, substantial document, is what's in the public health order, but I'm sure that means a diploma, which is important for our students. So we have to maintain social distancing or physical distancing. You have to have face coverings, and you can't gather during, prior, or after. And the event has to proceed in a normal pace. You can't stop and start. It has to just keep moving. So, but these are still great opportunities to celebrate the wonderful accomplishments of all our students.
Absolutely. And I know it's something that we're really excited about. And I know that as with everything during this time, things have constantly sort of been fluctuating and changing. And you've just been a really great advocate as well as information source for us. So thank you so much for being in constant communication with us.
You're welcome. I really do appreciate your support.
Now, Dr. Wilson, with this new guidance in hand, what can parents and students expect to hear from their principals about graduation and promotion activities?
Thanks, Amber, and thanks, John, for sharing that important information. And I want to, something John didn't have a chance to mention is he and I have been in constant contact, it seems like, over the last, 3 or 4 weeks,
Yes.
Moving through this process. And it's been quite the roller coaster ride for our principals and our teachers and our kids and our parents and our families, right? Because we keep getting what seems to be conflicting information out there. And so these things have really changed in a very fluid way. In fact, this morning I had a chance to speak with the PTA, and I got this new guidance from Chief about 3 minutes before I went on that Zoom. And so, like I said, these things are changing in real time. So with this new guidance in hand, I met with the principals this morning and we discussed the implications for this with their own celebrations or anticipated celebrations. Our K-8 schools, I want to separate them a little bit from the high school for a moment here, because those three schools put a lot of time in on very specific plans that included a drive-through processional. And they had shared those plans previously with Chief Incontro, and he had given great feedback on how to do that in a safe way for our kids and our families and our staff. And so we had those plans in place, and those were kind of rolling forward. And then we hit the brakes, I think it was about 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, when we got some very direct communication from the county health department that seemed to prohibit any type of physical celebration. So at that point, our principals sort of pivoted towards a virtual approach and have put hours into developing videos that they're going to share with the communities, a bunch of wonderful slideshows that our communities can expect over the next week. So they've been putting a ton of time into that piece. So now all of a sudden, yesterday at 2:30 was sort of the first inkling that this might be changing. And so I asked them to consider overnight, what would that mean for their own staffs, their own celebrations, their own kids. So again, we met this morning, and I know that our K-8 schools are moving forward with a plan for a processional. It might be a little different than the plan they had 2 weeks ago. Might be some new, parameters to it, but it also, the fact that they did all the work on the video might change how they actually do the processional. So they should expect to hear from their principal very soon about what the details are around those processionals. For instance, when, right? Specifically the day, the time, what would be the organization of those? Like how would you line up for these in your cars? When would you come? And I know they've done all that background work. And so they're going to be resharing those plans with Chief. Chief will kind of give us some feedback on that, sign off on it, and we'll move ahead. As far as the high school goes, they've been, working literally every single week with a group of high school seniors to really talk about what would make this an important time. I just submitted something to the Tribune for the graduate issue. One of the things I discovered is I believe this is the first time since World War II that high schools around the nation will really not be having, physical celebrations in stadiums and auditoriums. So this is a very unique class, the class of 2020. And as I kind of mentioned, they all know this. They're going to be telling stories about this at their 10, 20, 30, 40-year reunions. And they're going to have their little grandkids bouncing on their knees someday. They're going to tell them about their graduation and what that was like. And so while it's very painful right now and all those amazing celebrations and traditions around graduation, we can't recognize those at this moment in time. I know there's been a commitment from the start that our grad night chairs, and our kids and our administration and teachers and staff have been working really closely to ensure that this is a very special time for this class, and not just in a bad way, right? A very special time in a positive way. So today, that group will be meeting to discuss what are the implications for the high school, and then very quickly pivot towards what that is and get that information out to the public. And I won't say anything more right now, because just to tell you, that's yet to be decided and wrapped up, and to have the kids give us some interaction on that. And I sort of mentioned earlier when I started there about a piece I wrote for the Tribune. I want to say right now, I want to thank Charlie Plowman of the Outlook and the Tribune, Outlook Tribune. He reached out to our school district and met with our principals, and very generously offered to do an amazing addition that's going to be special for this class. I mean, it's going to be a keepsake. It's going to be something that our kids and our parents are going to be able to stick in their box that they pull out. My daughter loves to pull my box out and go through the stuff in my box, right? We all have a box. So this is going to be a really cool piece that the Tribune puts together. And we're talking multiple pages of photos and reflections. So that's an exciting piece that maybe no other class has ever had, nor will ever have again. So that's an example of doing something that's non-traditional that will make this time really special for the kids, I think.
Great.
Anything else for us, Chief, at this point that would be helpful to know?
Well, I think just a couple of quick comments. And again, I can't thank you, Dr. Wilson and Amber and everybody else at the school district for this wonderful support and openness and willingness to work together to do something special. for all these students that are graduating. As a parent of a rising senior and soon to be 8th grader, I understand a lot of the angst and anxiety that parents are going through. I wonder if there's going to be a football season, if there's going to be a wrestling season for my daughter. But I think working together, following these rules, these guidances, and being safe and caring about each other is extremely important. And that's what I know I will see on the days that we celebrate these achievements of all of our students. With that, I just want to say, from the entire San Marino Police Department and the fire department and the other city employees, we're very proud of all of you. We wish you the best in the future. This is going to pass, and we are all going to be better people because of it, and we're going to learn. So thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm looking forward to seeing some great celebrations. Thank you.
And just lastly, Chief, thanks to the Honorable Mayor and the City Council, who have really stood behind these efforts to provide ways for us to access some kind of a celebration, and also with Dr. Marlowe and her support of that as well. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. And our mayor council has been tremendous in their leadership, and the city manager is also behind the scenes been working really hard to keep us healthy, safe, and continuing what's going on in this great city. Thanks, and have a great Memorial Day weekend.
Thanks so much, Chief.
Thanks so much, Chief Incontro.
You're
Take
welcome.
care.